101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's a connecting strategy, AI, and human centric marketing, no other than Ms. Deanna Read.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to
Thank
Book
you for
101. Yes, welcome to Book 101, Miss Dana. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
sorry about that. So, my name is Deanna Read. I am a strategic marketer and I focus on human-based marketing. And so, marketing to humans versus personas or categories such as business to um, commercial or business to business. Um, I believe in speaking to your audience as humans and really resonating with them and touching them. And I believe it improves your marketing tenfold.
Indeed, Miss Dina. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. And what does it mean, or what does it truly mean to humanize a marketing strategy?
Well, I think as marketers, sometimes we get a little caught up in focusing on the wrong details. So we're taught to create these personas, your what you think your customer looks like, and then to go and test it with research and analysis. But I think in that entire process, you really lose sight of the fact that they're human. They have human wants, human needs. And so I really focus on kind of going back to that and looking at the actual person, not the group, not the whatever segments you put them into, and really marketing that way, thinking about their needs. What is compelling them to look into your product or your service? What is driving that? And then how do you reach back out to them in a much more relationship based form. And it's really about kind of respecting the customer and respecting the process. And so it looks like more personalized emails instead of the big, you know, form emails that you get a lot of times. Um, it can be really kind of reaching out over certain events in their life. There's a lot of ways to implement it, but in my experience, it tends to be much more successful than when you're reaching out just to a large group.
Very well said, Ms. Dana. Very well said. Why is human centered marketing more important now than ever before?
Well, I think as technology has increased, everybody's getting on email campaigns, text campaigns. You're seeing influencers. We're bombarded constantly with marketing messaging. And I know we've all received those cringy emails that you can tell was just written for a large group of people. It's not personalized in any way. It's not really targeting you as a person. It's you've just been thrown into some kind of a group. And this kind of brings it back to much more of building that relationship with your audience, building that respect.
Interesting indeed, Miss Dana. And how can brands bring more empathy in their messaging and outreach?
Well, I think you can start with the personas to kind of narrow down your audience, but then you really need to get to know your audience. One of the things that I do is I look at what my content is, how it resonates. So if I'm putting something out there that gets very low interaction, that's not something that my audience is looking into. I'm also looking at what resonates with my competitors' audiences. What are they responding to? I'm really looking for the very bottom motivations. Why are they reaching out to me? What is it that they're searching for? And then providing those solutions, providing those answers. And that's what brings them to me. But then once they're with me, I want to continue to nurture that relationship. And so it's about making sure I'm sending emails to them that aren't time wasters. You know, if I know my audience and I know that, maybe they're not very um, maybe quality isn't as important to them as pricing. I don't need to continue sending them emails talking about my quality product. I need to send them emails talking about the pricing and why the pricing is the way that it is. It's understanding what their motivators are and then working on sending them content that matches those motivations and really not filling it up with a bunch of waste. One of the things that I really can't stand is when you look at social media feeds from certain brands, it's like they feel like they have to post, and so they're constantly posting, but it's just filler. It's just information that's not really meeting the needs of their audience. And so as an audience, you get trained to kind of, oh, that doesn't apply to me, that doesn't interest me, I'm going to scroll right past it. And you're now training your audience to ignore your messaging, and having really um, focused messaging can kind of change that. I actually read a stat just recently that the average person scrolls through social media the same height as the Statue of Liberty every day. And so that's a lot of scrolling and a lot of information being passed. So you've really got to connect with your audience in order to kind of stop that scroll and capture their attention. Otherwise, you're just practicing I can't think of what the word is all of a sudden, but you're putting stuff out there that's just not going to capture their attention. And so it's wasting time and wasting space.
What are the biggest signs that marketing strategy has become too robotic or disconnected?
I really kind of have to go back to I had an email recently that was just so odd to me. It was, selling a product that I would have never been interested in. It was just very, very generic. And when I received it, it was kind of like, okay, I know they have no idea who I am as a customer of theirs. They don't know what motivates me, what interests me. They have no idea what I'm looking for. I've also had that people reaching out to you on LinkedIn, and they'll send you a message, and it's just very they've done just a very cursory look at you, or they've had their AI do a look at me and tell them, okay, this might be of interest, and then I get just this really random stock message that's pointing out maybe little tidbits of my professional life, but with no connective tissue. You can tell that there's no real intention in there of building a relationship. It's basically trying to look like they are doing it. And so I see that we have access to all these tools to make marketing better, but we're relying solely on the tools. We're taking all that human out of it, and we really need that human back in it. We really need to look at what we're doing, look at the conversations that we're writing, the content that we're creating, and realizing that we're not writing for other machines. And so anything that comes out of AI or comes out of a tool really needs that human touch to it.
How can brands bring more empathy into their messaging and outreach?
100% by nothing should be published directly from chat gpt or from any of the ai tools. Always go back in and touch it, read the message, and think about if you were the on the receiving end of that. How does that message feel to you? Does it resonate with you? You really have to look at it from the audience's eyes, and then go back to your analytics, look at your tools, the emails that you're sending, how many of them are being opened, how much time is being spent on them. Really learn from your audience and from their reactions to your content. If you're posting stuff and nobody's interacting with it, it's not a message that they want to hear. And it doesn't mean that you don't have a good product or a good service. It just means you're not resonating with them, and you need to change the way that you're talking to them, the way that you're presenting the information to them.
Very well said, Ms. Dana. Empowering answer. And what's the first step a company can take to make their marketing more relatable?
That is a great question. Um, One of the first things that I do, and I don't recommend getting too caught up in it, but you really should look at what your competition is doing. Look at the messaging that they're putting out there and look at how their audience is responding to it. Um, it's important to kind of know what they're doing and what the audience responds to. That's kind of like a cheat, a little shortcut, but don't spend all of your focus there. Glean the information that you can get from it and then really use that information to create your own messaging, your own program. You don't want to copy your competitors because it's going to look exactly like that. We're all very keen, we're all very savvy at this point, and we can really pick up people who are playing off of somebody else. And so if I'm a customer and I'm shopping around and I see three providers that all have very similar messaging, very similar looks or whatever, I'm going to know somebody's copying off of somebody else. You really want to differentiate yourself. So look at their information to glean some tips and some tricks. And okay, this is what my audience is looking for, but then really make it your own. Put that information out there as your company or your service and differentiate yourself. That's one of the quickest ways to get information out there and to really resonate with your audience. And then from that, it's really always, I go back to, you know, the analytics. Look at how it's performing. Feel free to reach out, put out polls to learn more about your audience. If you have a customer facing store or service, ask for their input, ask for their feedback. What drew them to your service or your product? uh, what what makes them stay with you? The customers do like to give their feedback, even positive or negative. And so really ask, get their input, because it's really going to be valuable for you moving forward.
Indeed, being unique people is the key. How do customer stories and testimonials help humanize a brand?
Well, we all love, we're it's one of the the principles of marketing. It's called social proof. If my friend comes and tells me about this great nail salon that she's been to that she really loves, I'm more likely to go try that nail salon if I want to get my nails done because I know somebody who's been there that's had a great experience. And seeing testimonials, seeing customer stories, case studies, that's that social proof. We may not know these people personally, but we're seeing stories of people who are happy. And so that helps reinforce that brand in our mind as, okay, this is a good place to go for this service or this product. It it helps to reaffirm that in our mind. And that doesn't necessarily mean that um, negative customer reviews are bad, because they're not always bad. Nobody's 100% perfect all the time. And companies are the same way. You're not going to be 100% all the time. And so looking at a company that may have 4,000 reviews and they're all 5 stars, that gets a little suspicious. And so it's okay to have a 4.8, and it's all in how you respond to that negativity, that negative review. If you've done wrong by a customer or whatever, reach out to that customer, put in a response, you know, apologize, make it right. Your audience is going to see that and they're going to see that you care, and it's going to look much more authentic than having all of just these 100% all the time. And so it just really kind of humanizes you. It really makes you much more relatable.
Interesting answer. Miss Lena, how can social media be used to connect rather than just promote?
That is a fantastic answer. I mean, question, sorry. Social media is really where you meet your audience on their time. And so it's a great way to build groups, to have communications. A lot of brands, their audience will speak out with them and connect with them in comments. I see it a lot. You see it all the time with celebrities or bands and stuff like that. Their audience, their fans are leaving messages, and then they'll go in and they'll make a response. You can do the same thing as a brand. You can be posting things that get conversations going about your product or your service, and then you go in there and you comment and you interact with them. Facebook is great for creating groups. So is LinkedIn. You can have groups where your customers can meet and talk about your products. You can have one of the brands that I really like right now is Everyday Dose. They actually have a specific Facebook group for their customers that once you purchase from them, they invite you to this group. And in this group, they keep you interested because they talk to you about new releases that are coming up, new flavors, special items, special giveaways, and it's perfect for them because they can go in and see what customers are saying about their product. They get to really understand how it's resonating with their audience, with their customers, and they can test out new things without really launching it across the board.
Yes, feedback is very important. People, and what metrics or signs show that humanized marketing approach is working?
Well, the most important one is always an increase in sales, obviously.
Yes.
Um, I also look at an increase in leads because there's usually quite a few steps from the lead side to the sales side. And so you may really resonate with your audience, but then something happens within that process. So definitely look at your sales, but also look at the leads, look at the interest that you are generating. If you're generating a lot of interest, but they're not turning into leads, then there's something broken in that process from lead to sales. Um, I also look at, again, you don't want to get too wrapped up in what they call vanity metrics, your engagement, but it really does help to see what your audience is resonating with. And so if you're getting likes, if you're getting shares, you know that people are connecting to that. They're taking time to click it. Um, I don't know about you, but in my experience, most people they're not in a habit of just clicking everything they see, clicking like on everything they see. It takes time, it takes effort. You're more intentional about what you like, what you share. And so if somebody has liked or shared your content, you have resonated with them, you have connected with them in some way. And so that's important to know. But leads, definitely, that's one of the metrics that I'm constantly looking at. How much interest is this generating? And then you want to look at how that's funneling through your process.
Miss Dana, how does really listening to your audience shape your human first strategy?
So I have a story for this one. I used to work for a construction equipment company, and we do golf tournaments, and we do a hole in one prize giveaway. And I would sit on the hole to watch and make sure if anybody got a hole in one. And we'd have the big piece of equipment there and all the signage. And it was great because nobody knew that I worked for that company. And so all these golfers would come around, they'd see the hole in one, and they'd see the company name, and they'd start talking about the company. And as a marketing person, that's exactly what you want. You want these unfiltered conversations about your company that you can really learn how people feel about it. And what I would do from that is take all these comments that I heard when they were talking, not knowing who I was, and that would go back into my marketing strategy. So I'd hear comments about, like, oh, so and so. Well, who is that? I've never even heard of them. Okay, I need to build our brand better. People need to know more about who we are, why we're here, what we're doing. And I would take that information, turn that into marketing campaigns. If people would talk about, oh, well, they're overpriced, that information would come back. And it all helps you to build much better, more effective campaigns because you now know exactly what your audience is thinking, and you can communicate those thoughts to them. Okay, well, you think our pricing is too high. This is what all comes with that pricing. This is how we compare to our competitors in pricing. And you're kind of not preventing, you're presenting these answers to their questions. It was so beneficial to be able to do that, and you can still do that now through like your social listening. Look at what people are saying, track your brand name, track the products that you sell. Even if it's not a brand specific product, you can look at what people talk about when it comes to these products, see what their concerns are, what their interests are, and it really helps to shape your campaigns.
Yes, indeed, Miss Dana. What are some examples of brands doing this well right now?
That is a great question. I have to kind of go back to Everyday Dose. because that's one that I'm really familiar with right now. I see them consistently um, reaching out to their audience, reaching out to their customers, talking to them. They're planning a new product launch. And so they actually started asking questions in this customer group about a month ago, asking about, who drinks this type of coffee, would you be interested in this type of coffee, and they're really doing their consumer research before they launch. And it's providing them all of the touch points, all of the concerns that we as consumers have about this type of product. So they're getting right now all of the marketing research that they need to launch a really successful campaign. And I've already seen them start to release some of their promotional materials, and you can see, okay, they're responding to this comment that I saw in that group. They're formulating their content about this. And so it's been really interesting to see. But you also see it with well, I was going to say Wendy's, but Wendy's is not necessarily the same. They're much more of, they just interact to get the conversation going. They're a completely different case model, but still highly effective. But I think Everyday Dose would be my best example of this kind of human based marketing.
Miss Dana, as a connecting strategy and AI and human centric marketing, what would be your short term and long term goals?
Ah, um, well, there. I guess right now one of my biggest goals is really kind of AI is so new. And so there's not a lot of ethical regulations or standards. It's kind of the wild, wild west out there. And so it's a broad goal for me, but to really kind of help be a part of establishing the ethical guidelines for the use of AI in marketing. It's actually part of my what I plan for my doctoral dissertation is um, implementing ethical guidelines and how do we use AI effectively and ethically when we're marketing to audiences. Um, so that would definitely be one of my goals. Another one is I'm looking into starting mentorship to help new people that are coming up in the marketing industry, helping them to be better marketers and helping them to understand human based marketing and how to integrate AI into their marketing. And so, really helping to be more of a teacher and a mentor.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Dana, and more success to what you do.
Thank you.
And what will be advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
um, for me, it's honestly, I have a thirst for knowledge. I have a thirst for growing and exploring new ideas and new concepts. And so I really encourage anybody that's interested in knowing more about this or moving more in this direction. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn that you can follow that have been really championing this for a long time. Naz Urbina is somebody you can find him on my connections. He's somebody who kind of taught me. It started with some of the seminars that he was teaching, and he's really grown from there. And as AI has come into it, he's really working on the AI side of it and integrating human based marketing with AI as well. There's I do a lot of YouTubes. I do a lot of I've continued. I'm going for my doctorate, so just any kind of education that you can find, do searches on it, find the information, and really, that's how I did it. Was just a lot of kind of self educating, and then also through schooling.
Yes, thank you for your advice, Miss Dana, and looking for more success to your projects. What are the risks of not adapting your marketing to be more human tomorrow?
So, what are the risks of not doing it?
Yes.
Uh, it's it's in my opinion, is that cringe factor. It's the your audience is going to be getting things that are just not talking to them. It's you're going to be training your audience that there's kind of that lack of care of connecting with them. And so it's going to be emails that don't interest them that they're going to just scan right through or not even open. And so that's a waste of your time, a waste of your resources, and it's also training them that you don't always send information that relates to them, and so they may not always want to open it, and it can become a habit of not opening it and just ignoring it. Um, Same thing with social media, and so by not trying to humanize your marketing and really relate to your audience, you're going to be basically training them to ignore your content, ignore your messaging.
Yes, indeed. So before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, Book 101 Review in its fifth season, Comedy 101 in its second season, and Food 101 it's in fifth season as well. Geography 101 and Love Letters in its third season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, Movie 101 Review, and Music 101 in its fourth season, and my Sex 101 and Science 101 in its first season as well. So please do listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So Miss Dana, if there's one shift marketers should make today to prepare for tomorrow, what would it be?
Embrace AI. There's a lot of marketers who are very afraid of it. They feel like it'll replace them. It's never going to replace you, but it will cause you to be replaced if you don't embrace it and you don't learn how to use it effectively.
Yes, people, embrace AI because this is our future and learn to adopt it. Miss Dana, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. And I hope one day you create a book regarding of what we are talking about. And you are most welcome to come back and let's talk about it on Book 101 review. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business itself?
Yes, right now I have Deanna Read Marketing, and then I have Lead Teach Market. Leadteachmarket.com is an organization that I'm started that has that mentorship. It'll be teaching soft skills into leadership, mentorship, and then how to promote yourself professionally. Um, and so those are my two right now.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Dana Reed because if you support her, more and more and more AI evolution to come. So, Miss Dana, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bodycon people, see you soon.